Cheltenham Festival 2024, and I am going to give you my opinion and my analysis on each individual race over the 4 days. Let's start on day one of the Cheltenham Festival, the Supreme Novice Hurdle. Slade Steele was a good winner for Henry de Bromhead and Rachel Blackmore. Mystical Power and Mark Walsh came there with a challenge and a strong run and did hit the front up the hill at the Cheltenham Festival, but they were outstayed by the eventual winner, Slade Steele and Rachel Blackmore. Slade Steele was a good winner of the Supreme Novice Hurdle, and I think will turn into an extremely nice chaser, certainly one to keep on side. Now let's move on to the Arkle. Gaelic Warrior, how impressive was that for the all-conquering Willie Mullins and Paul Townend? Bolted up by 9 lengths, eased down. There were question marks after that run at the Dublin Racing Festival, but that performance in the Arkle put all doubters to bed. Easy winner, Gaelic Warrior of the Arkle. Next up, the Ultima Handicap. Chianti Classico was an easy winner for David Bass and trainer Kim Bailey and didn't go unbacked, SP 6-1. Looks very progressive, this horse, and definitely one to keep on side. Looks a 150 plus to me. Next up, the Champion Hurdle. There was a lot of noise on social media regarding this race. This was my first anti-post selection that I sent out to my 500 plus paying monthly clients. I love State Man. 8 grade 1s prior to winning the Champion Hurdle on day one of the Cheltenham Festival, now 9 grade 1s. But vitally, I received information as far back as January that Constitution Hill would not run in this year's Champion Hurdle. I shared this information on this platform, on TikTok, and to my 500 plus paying monthly clients. I advised them to load up on State Man at 5-1 and 4-1. I made it very clear after State Man wins 4-11, my comment section on all my social media platforms is, you're making it up. You never said this. Just bitter individuals who will never change, never listen. But everything is there. Myself and my 500 plus paying monthly clients had huge value, and he done the business. He turned up. As Willie says, you got to turn up. SP 4-11, defeating Gordon Elliott's Irish Point pretty comfortably. The reality of the situation is 99% of people backed Constitution Hill. They're not price sensitive, they're not educated, and they just back short price favourites. It completely coincides with 99% of punters lose long term. Anyways, back onto State Man. Unbelievable horse. Done the business in the Champion Hurdle for the all-conquering Willie Mullins and Paul Townend. Let's move on to the Close Brothers Mares Hurdle. The all-conquering Willie Mullins again here. Lossiemouth, easy winner. There was question marks regarding Lossiemouth and if she would stay, but she certainly put those doubts to bed. She's absolutely bolted up in the Mares Hurdle with the Henry de Bromhead battalion in 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Henry has a great record in this race, and especially with mares. He trained the super mare Honeysuckle. Let's not forget about that superstar too quickly. Interestingly, there was a lot of chat on social media regarding Lossiemouth, and if she had went down the Champion Hurdle route, she would have won that race. I think that's a bit questionable, and I think it's a bit disrespectful to State Man. State Man, 9 grade 1s. Remember that. 9 grade 1s. Moving on to the Boodles Handicap Hurdle. No surprise to see these famous colours in the winner's enclosure at Cheltenham. Lark in the Morning. Classic handicap plot. Job done. Perfectly delivered by Joseph O'Brien and rider JJ Slevin. I'd also like to mention a big run from the second, Eagle's Reign, trained by Ross O'Sullivan, had every chance jumping the last, but we just bumped into an absolute handicap plot job, unfortunately. Eagle's Reign really did run a big race, promising £7 claimer Tom Hearney was on board. 100-1, 80-1 chance, definitely a horse to keep on side, Eagle's Reign. Moving on to the last race of day one, the Maureen Mullins National Handicap. Looked a match bet on paper, Corbett's Cross, trained by Emmett Mullins, up against the all-conquering Willie Mullins Embassy Gardens, and it turned out that way. Corbett's Cross won the race very comfortably. Corbett's Cross is a very talented individual, but quirky. Let's not forget, Corbett's Cross ran out at the last with every chance in the Albert Bartlett at last year's Cheltenham Festival. No mistake, Corbett's Cross was kept wide by Derek O'Connor and out of trouble, and he never really saw another rival. The race looked over for me by halfway, and he's bolted up by 17 lengths in the end. Big eye catcher and big performance from Corbett's Cross. Moving on to day 2 of the Cheltenham Festival. First race, the Gallagher's Novice Hurdle, and a lot of people's, my favourite word, banker, Ballyburn, and he certainly didn't disappoint. He pulled like an absolute train throughout the race, but still found enough to come out victorious in the Gallagher's Novice Hurdle for the all-conquering Willie Mullins and Paul Townend. I did advise Jimmy Dosol 66-1 each way in my Cheltenham preview for my 500 plus paying monthly clients. The way that I looked at this race, do I back a 1-2 favourite? I don't back favourites, I'm all about value, looking for each way value. 66-1, place, quarter of the odds. No complaints. That's what you want. Always remember, 12-1 a place pays more than backing a 1-2 favourite. Once you get that, you can start making strides in this game. Next up, the Browns Advisory Novice Chase. The all-conquering Willie Mullins again, fact to file. How easy was that? The form was franked massively from Gaelic Warrior's win in the Arkle on day 1. And again, fact to file, didn't disappoint. Never in doubt really, absolutely bolted up at 8-13. This looks a serious horse for JP McManus. A wealth of riches for this owner. Mark Walsh done the steering on this occasion. This looks like a Gold Cup horse for me. The further he goes, the more improvement he will find. Moving on to the Coral Cup. Lots of controversy regarding this winner, Langer Dan. The trainer had said publicly the horse had a lot of problems, predominantly ulcers, and the handicapper dropped him a few pounds. And let's also include the 3-4 runs where he was uncompetitive and disappointing, but miraculously bounced back to form when the money was down in the Coral Cup at the Cheltenham Festival. What do you think of Langer Dan? Do you think he's miraculously bounced back to form? Or do you think this was the plan all along? Also, I want to know, what do you think about the handicappers' approach on Irish runners at this year's Cheltenham Festival? Personally, I think the majority of them, 90% plus, have been handicapped out of things. They've been extremely harshly treated by the UK handicapper. Moving on to the Champion Chase. And this is where it all went wrong for the mug punters. They all thought they were super smart on day 1, backing favourites blind, even though they were still down overall to a £1 stake. They will never get it, and that's why they will stay poor. El Fabiolo pulled up, no good, 2-9. There's always one that puts the mug punters away, unfortunately. People think they're smart putting 3-4 odds-on shots in an accumulator. And the same thing happens over and over again. One of them gets beat, or two. This game's brutal at times. One bit of free advice I'd give you is anyone who's putting multiples on, full of odds-on shots and favourites, avoid them, block them. You're going to cause yourself serious financial harm if you listen or follow this person. That is my free advice. They will never show you the losers. Remember that. The eventual winner, Captain Guinness, trained by Henry de Bromhead and ridden by Rachel Blackmore, was a good winner. This is a consistent soar and obviously benefited with El Fabiolo and Edwardstone pulling up and falling in the race. But you got to turn up and you got to stay on your feet to win these races. And let's be honest, this race has a terrible record for odds-on favourites being turned over. Captain Guinness is a likeable soar, jumps well, and each-way backers were happy. So personally, I think it was a good winner. I like Henry de Bromhead. I think Rachel Blackmore's great for racing. Next up, the Grand Annual. Harry and Dan Skelton again here with unexpected party. Held off the late challenge from Evan Williams, Liberty Hunter. Harry Cobden had the winner in his sights, but just couldn't get by. Unexpected Party, very, very game. Career best off a mark of 138. It was a solid performance and one to keep on side. Moving on to the last race of day 2 at the Cheltenham Festival, the Champion Bumper. And what a fitting winner. Jasmine de Vax to get up the 100 winners for his father, Willie Mullins, in the bumper at the Cheltenham Festival. The GOAT of National Hunt Racing. There was question marks regarding Jasmine de Vax of how strong that Naas bumper form was, but put the doubters to bed. Patrick Mullins kept him stand side and out of trouble and quickened up the hill. Great performance. I thought Gordon Elliott's Romeo Coolio ran a big race in second, had every chance. Again, that's another horse to keep on side, potentially over a hurdle. Let's move on to day 3 of the Cheltenham Festival. The Turner's Novice Chase. Team Skeleton, again, Grey Dawning, a comfortable winner in the first race. Had a right good battle with Ginny's Destiny, trained by Paul Nicholls and ridden by Harry Cobden from a long way out. There was some comments on social media regarding Vassal Vega and Zanahiyr on why they gave so much rope to Ginny's Destiny and the winner, Grey Dawning. Personally, when I was watching the race, I did think Zanahiyr was going to make up the ground, but the front two, they just didn't stop. And Grey Dawning ran out a really comfortable winner. This is a horse with solid form, stays all day. Good winner and one to keep on side for the Skeletons. Moving on to the next race, the Pertemps Handicap Hurdle. They might have finished second in the Turners, but Nicholls and Cobden delivered with Montmoral at 25 to 1. He's a real classy sort, Montmoral. Ran well for a long way at Chepstow, but just faded. 138 is no easy mark to win off in this race. Top training performance by Paul Nicholls and a really talented animal, Montmoral. And likely more improvement will be found over the 3-mile trip. Notebook. Next up, the Ryanair Chase. And again, Team Skeleton delivered with Protectorat and a huge quick Cheltenham Festival double for owner John Hales. Famous colours. Also great to see Sir Alex Ferguson at the Cheltenham Festival. The favourite, Envoy Allen, travelled very well for Rachel Blackmore, but just faded and got outstayed by the eventual winner, Protectorat. Protectorat was a really nice winner of the Ryanair Chase. It's important to note that Hitman was beaten 34 lengths in this race, and he got close to Shishkin at Newbury. How good does that form look now? Remember, my social media feed is full of people telling me that Shishkin was an absolute certainty for the Cheltenham Gold Cup. I don't think so. Let's calm down, okay? Next up, the Ryanair's Mares Novice Hurdle. A lot of people have said this was a shock result, with Gordon Elliott's brighter days ahead being turned over at odds on, defeated by Jeremy Scott's Golden Ace. But, as usual, it's always the same types that are complaining that an odds-on favourite got beat. Mug punters. Unfortunately, that's the 90+%, and they're always going to cry about an odds-on favourite getting beat. Never show you the losers. Personally, I think Golden Ace was a good winner. Had every chance to chuck it at the last, but she stayed on strongly up the hill. Brighter Days Ahead is a big horse, and if you see the head-on, Jack Kennedy is race riding. He's tried to intimidate the eventual winner by leaning onto her, but she's quickened up the hill and she's won comfortable. Great training performance by Jeremy Scott. And Golden Ace, listen, she's a really talented mare and definitely one you want to keep on side. Top training performance by Jeremy Scott. A fantastic ride by Lorcan Williams. Last race on day 3 of the Cheltenham Festival is the Kim Muir Challenge Cup Amateur Riders. How easy was that? He's absolutely bolted up. The winner made up so much ground from the back of the field and still absolutely bolted up off a mark of 145 for trainer Gavin Cromwell and jockey Derek O'Connor. My Cheltenham Festival preview selection was Whistle in the Dark, 33 to 1, extra places, which landed. Again, I always look for the each way value. A 33 to 1 shot placing pays more than a 13 to 8 shot winning. Once you understand that, then you can start winning in this game. But nonetheless, the winner, I know what you're thinking, was visually impressive. What do? Do you back a 13 to 8 favourite, 22 runner handicap, or do you back some for the extra places at 33 to 1? I know what I'm going to do. backing 13 to 8 shots, backing favourites in general, it's not my game. I will always look for the each way value. A 33 to 1 shot placing pays more than a 13 to 8 shot winning. Always remember that. Moving on to day 4 and the final day of the Cheltenham Festival. This was the most important day for my private service and my 500 plus paying monthly clients. Triumph Hurdle, anti-post selection number 2, Madgeborough, 12 to 1 for Mark Walsh, the all-conquering Willie Mullins, and legendary owner and gambler JP McManus, SP 6 to 1. My clients have had it off with Madgeborough in the Triumph Hurdle. Some of my clients got 14s and 16s as well. Sometimes you just got to wait for the good stuff. This is a future Gold Cup winner. That is the information I received. Sent it out to all my 500 plus paying monthly clients. They all loaded up and they all collected. That is how my service operates. Madgeborough ran a huge race on debut at the Dublin Racing Festival, attempted to make all in Grady Company first time out, got headed and battled back and wasn't beaten far, but this time around reversed the form with Hryhorskyj and won easy. Listen, turning in, as long as we stayed on our feet, I had Madgeborough as a 101 chance. We were always going to get up the hill and outstay the eventual second Hryhorskyj. Soon as we jumped the last, I knew it was all over. Go collect. Next up, the County Hurdle. The all-conquering Willie Mullins and Paul Townend. They're at it again with Absurd. Wins easily at 12 to 1. How did Absurd go off that price, 12 to 1? Team Skelton nearly pulled off their 5th winner at this year's Cheltenham Festival, with the favourite Ladouceur, but not to be on this occasion, finishing a gallant 2nd. Next up, the Albert Bartlett Hurdle. This was probably the ride of the week, but the horse didn't win. Keelan Woods has given Ben Pollings, the jukebox man, an absolute beautiful ride in front, set the fractions perfectly, settled the horse and nearly nicked it from the front. Made a mistake at the last and just got nutted on the line by Sam Ewing and Gordon Elliott trained Stellar Story. So unlucky for the jukebox man. That was a big winner for Gigginstown Stud on the final day of the Cheltenham Festival. Next up, the Gold Cup. Galopin Des Champs again. What a horse this is. Turns up, does the business every time. He doesn't hide. This is a grueling race and he just keeps delivering. My Cheltenham Festival preview, I advised Corach Rambler each way. That was my selection. I did say Galopin Des Champs would be very, very difficult to beat, but I don't back favourites. He was around 10 to 11 when I did my write-up, but I'm happy backing Corach Rambler. It's 16 to 1, 18 to 1 each way. He was definitely going to stay. The ground was against him, but the way I thought this race was going to unfold, the pace would collapse and he would run on for a place, and it worked out perfectly. Again, you get paid more for backing a 16 to 1 each way than backing a 10 to 11 winner. Remember that. Back on to the winner, Galopin Des Champs. This is such a serious horse. The all-conquering Willie Mullins and Paul Townend, they've cleaned up at this year's Cheltenham Festival. But I want to know, where do you rank Galopin Des Champs? Is he Cato Star level or has he surpassed this? Next up, the St James Hunter's Chase. Similar comments to the jukebox man. It's a miracle that Derek O'Connor got the favourite It's on the Line as close as he did to the eventual winner, Sine Nominee. The winner was short of room before the last and had to switch up the running, but found enough to stay on strongly for John Dawson and defeat the short price favourite. Top ride from John Dawson here. Go back and watch that race. That was a top ride and training performance by Fiona Needham. Next up, the Paddy Power Mares Novice Chase. JP McManus show here. He had the eventual 1st and 2nd. It was an interesting betting market here. Dino Blue and the eventual winner, Limerick Lace, flip-flopped in the betting in the morning and on the show. It was difficult to split Dino Blue and Limerick Lace on form, but the latter Limerick Lace got the job done, stayed on strongly for trainer Gavin Cromwell and jockey Keith Donoghue. In my Cheltenham preview, I advised Instit 33 to 1 each way, 5 places, finished 5th. Again, 5 to 1, 6 to 1 winner in the place market. This beats a 13 to 8 winner or a 2 to 1, 3 to 1 winner in the win market. Always remember that. Look for each way value. 33 to 1 place beats a 13 to 8 winner. Always remember that. Moving on to the last race of the Cheltenham Festival 2024, the Martin Pipe Handicap Hurdle. Better days ahead, doing the business for top Irish trainer Gordon Elliott. Ironically, Martin Pipe was a huge influence on Gordon Elliott, leading up to him being one of the top trainers in the world. So that wraps up the Cheltenham Festival 2024. Really profitable week for my private service, 2 anti-post selections, State Man 4 to 1, done the business in the Champion Hurdle, and Madgeborough in the Triumph Hurdle, 12 to 1, done the business. 28 out of 28 months profit overall. But what was your highlight of this year's Cheltenham Festival? Did you make a profit? Biggest winner? Unluckiest loser? Let me know in the comments section. Good luck.